Well, welcome to this video, and I hope you like it. If you do, click the like button, hit subscribe, and share with a friend. Fresh out of the shower with wet hair instead of my normal braid. It's kind of a weird rant today, just a little bit about philosophy and where I'm trying to go. I know I'm not the best public speaker. I don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't even like the look of myself in photos or videos. I actually think I photograph worse than I look in a video. Part of it's being tall and having deep set eyes. I always look like Frankenstein. I always have a shadow. But I don't want to become like heavy metal. You know, heavy metal sort of evolved from its roots in the late 60s and early 70s into what became the cliche hair bands of the 80s. It became about image, and I'm trying to avoid that. I want to make better videos. I want to have better quality, but at the same time, I want to have a little bit of reality. I want it to be about the message. I don't want it to be about me. I don't want it to be about how I look or whether you like my personality or not. Although I guess in some ways that just is my personality in real life. I don't, I'm a 52-year-old man with a receding hairline who wears his hair pulled back. I'm obviously not into vanity. I mean, I want to look good. I want to look presentable. I don't want to look like I spent $100 at a hair salon getting my gray hair touched up and, getting hair plugs or doing a comb over or whatever. Part of the reason I kept the long hair, I had long hair a lot of times earlier in my life, but as an engineer I grew it out because I actually donated it mainly for like kids who have cancer and that. One of my co-workers he moved on to another job, but his kid is actually one of the poster kids for surviving really bad childhood cancer. And after speaking with him, he said, times have evolved. Kids wear little skull caps and cool little hats and things, and there's a different culture around it. It's not really that big of a deal doing that. But then I went to a meeting once where, in my normal way of explaining things, the same way I do here, trying to take what I believe is the middle road, and you got to point out, these people don't know me, but just, discussing street trees and things like that. And it's like, I'm somebody who goes out and collects acorns and grows trees. I've been doing that for close to 2 decades now. And, I've always been into nature and the outdoors and, all the Bugs and Bunny stuff. And, the fact that I can have any criticism of people trying to plant big ass trees in a 2-foot wide strip in between the curb and the sidewalk directly under power lines, makes me the enemy. So I decided to keep my hair, and actually have grown it out quite a bit more since then. And part of why I've held on to it, it's like, it's hard for some, clean-cut, private school educated wannabe green weenie who is very impassioned, but doesn't necessarily have all the facts, or gained a lot of their facts through social media and pop culture. I think I've got a little bit more credibility in the room looking like the aging hippie that I am. I also feel more comfortable with it. I had long hair up until the point I joined the Navy for the most part. And after I got out of the Navy, I grew my hair for like 3 years before I went to college. I was in college when I cut off my hair, and then I kept it short most of the time until maybe 10 years ago. I first grew it out to donate it. But any rate, it's just, like I said, even though I want to make things a little bit better of an experience for the viewer, I just don't want to become about image. I mean, that's where Nirvana came from. Nirvana really wasn't that big of a change musically so much as image-wise. Instead of all the hair and the makeup and the spandex, they went back to being about the music. Nirvana and Soundgarden could have opened up for Foghat and Ted Nugent in the 70s. They're more of a throwback in a way to just being real. And I hope I come across as being real. I don't edit out my misspeaking. Some people do that and then they put them at the end as like bloopers or something. I know I can go in and edit out all my little ums and uhs, and when I stop and search for a word, because I try to do this organically and spontaneously. And when I do my little adventure videos, which take a lot more time to edit, because I do try to go back and find out correct identifications and scientific names for everything that I come across, I'm trying to be there in the moment. And I'm trying to expose the fact that even though I am confident of my knowledge and my abilities, I'm not some godlike entity with all the answers. Because I think that people presenting themselves that way also intimidates people from trying to enter a field or trying to gain more knowledge. Pleasantly surprised with the botanical community. They're happy for somebody that shares their sickness. You can talk to 6 different people at the same botanical society meeting and they will pronounce the same scientific name 6 different ways. Everything has a correct or an incorrect way, and although some, going into Latin's a whole different thing, and a lot of these names have other things incorporated in them, like people's last names, which may be Swedish or German or some other language, so you're pronouncing basically their last name as it would be in their native tongue with a Latin ending on it or some crazy thing like that. But people don't really argue about that. People are accepting of people who pronounce things totally different. In fact, there actually is a thing among people pronouncing things in Latin called American pronunciation, where we actually pronounce things a lot more like American English than we do in ecclesiastical Latin, which is the way that this stuff would have been originally envisioned in most cases by the people who created the name. Just things get too much into image and semantics, and to a large extent it kills things. Like I said, that's why the 80s had all these, in some cases, really great bands, but then it started to be getting more about how they looked on MTV, how they dressed, how they did their hair, and that killed it. And you went from some bands that they had this image, like say Kiss. You know, they have the image with the makeup and everything, but the music still holds up even if you're listening to it on the radio and you're not seeing the band. Although part of the band is just they put on a really great, spectacular live show. That's what the image was originally about. But some people became more about the hair and the makeup, and if they could play something halfway decent, you know, they got their ticket to you know, having their video promoted on MTV, and that kind of killed it because it became crappy and cheesy and all about the image. And that's something that I'm trying to avoid. I hope that people can kind of understand that. I hope it makes me more human and more approachable and more like something that somebody can say that, you know, they'd like to learn more about these things instead of feeling intimidated that, oh, you know, to learn about trees or something, you got to learn all these crazy Latin names and this and that. However you pronounce them, people will figure you out, you know, and you'll get better at it. Is just trying to be real, trying to be open, trying to honestly debate things and not hold position for position's sake or do something because it's trendy. That's one of the things that hurts a lot of movements, especially the environmental movement, is just inflexibility. People don't understand that things change. I mean, I like pointing out sometimes that, you know, the gasoline engine would have been considered green technology back in the day because they were originally drilling for oil and making it into kerosene for lighting people's houses. That was the main mode of lighting the world. And before that, it was whale oil. So drilling for oil basically saved the whales. We don't consider it very environmental today, but at that point in time, better solution than killing all the whales. Gasoline engines, huge polluter in our eyes today. Back in the day, they were making use of a waste product that people were just flaring off because it was the portion of the you know, that they distilled and separated out of the crude oil that was just too flammable to be using for lamp oil. So this was just a waste product. We've got to look at the world that way and be flexible in our opinions and our views. And, you know, there's always better information coming down the pike, and there's always, you know, different options, and there's always unforeseen circumstances. What is green today may be the problem tomorrow, and we've got to be aware of that. And I try to present things in that way. A good example is Roundup. Roundup is a carcinogen. There seems to be two schools of thought out there, even among otherwise rational people. I mean, most botanists who, you know, they're about restoring these wild places that are taken over by invasives, and they're like, Roundup's the greatest thing ever because it's the only thing we can use to kill these invasives and this and that. At the same time, it has been proven pretty well that it is a human carcinogen. I mean, it is listed as being a potential carcinogen, and there is scientific data to back that up. I have mentioned that in previous videos. I did one about some of the issues of you know, proving something is or isn't carcinogenic, because it's not like you can take a person and put them in isolation when they're newborn and expose them to something over 70 years and see what that chronic exposure over 70 years does with all the other background noise of other potential exposures weeded out. It just doesn't work that way. We can do it with mice or monkeys or something like that over a much shorter time span, but it's not the same. It just gives us the best educated guess. And people don't always understand the mechanisms behind it. And, Roundup is something that, maybe it is useful in some applications. Maybe it is the best solution in certain applications, but still it is, highly toxic, it is non-discriminate, it is a potential carcinogen, it can be affecting other plants, animals, whatever in the environment. It is the lesser of two evils. It's not some magic panacea to solve all your problems. And that's the other thing I see too often is people, even going back to street trees, there's people who think every tree is a good tree. A London plane planted between a sidewalk and a curb under a power line is a horrible idea. It is much worse than no tree at all. It can mess up the curb, the sidewalk, the sewers, the power lines, and it's bad for the tree too, because the tree's not meant to grow in that confined little space, and it's going to get butchered by the power company, or it's going to drop branches and take out power lines, and right tree, right place. People don't always put that much thinking. People are looking for simple yes, no answers. People aren't looking for something that's more nuanced. And it's real hard to be in that middle zone. And it's real hard to be in that ebb and flow. Because my position today may not be my position tomorrow. And a lot of people look at that as being weak or wishy-washy or not knowing what you're talking about. But on the contrary, it actually can be a sign of having more knowledge of what you're talking about and keeping your finger on the pulse of these changing dynamics. What are your better options? What are your worse options? Did new options appear? Did we find out more information about one of those options that makes it better now? Did we find out more information on the option that we chose that makes it not as good as we thought it was? And you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to do that constant dance with the knowledge swirling around you, and you've got to be able to sort out what's fact and what's fiction. Which study had a result that sounds like, okay, this was a sound study, and which study produced a result that, hey, that makes it sound good, but it's kind of an iffy study. It was a small sample size, or it didn't have any controls, or other people have tried, but nobody's been able to reproduce the same results. So, because there are a fluke. If you roll a pair of die, say 5 times, there's a chance that the first time you do it, you're going to get double 6s every single roll. That doesn't mean that that's the normal way it's going to work out. So, you have that just dumb luck effect kicking in with studies. Even a good study, if nobody else can replicate it, it might just be dumb luck. They hit on just that particular sequence where everything lined up. You've got to look out for all these different variables. And as more information is out there, you have to be willing to change your position. It's not easy. And you also have to understand you're limited as a human being. You're going to screw up. I don't care who you are going to screw up. You have to be willing to accept your mistakes and try to correct them and move on. That's all you can do. And, it's just, it's a hard position to be in to some extent. It's a position I kind of chose for myself to try to hold here. But I just hope that explains a little bit my perspective on, where I'm trying to be with this channel. I'm not trying to be polished. I'm not trying to be Simon Whistler or one of these other guys who by the way, tends to have a whole production crew instead of being a guy with a day job trying to do this on his free time in a spare bedroom of his house that has a bunch of other crap stored in it that you can't see off camera. I mean, that's just where I'm at in life. You know, it'd be great if I could do this full time. It would be great if I could hire somebody else to do the editing and I could have, you know, $1,000 cameras and thousands of dollars of lights set up. I got a couple of old spotlights I used on cages back when I raised reptiles. That's it. That's my lighting system. I got a cheap clip-on microphone. I got about $150 video camera. That's it. That's what I'm working with. You know, I'm not one of these guys raking in, you know, 6 figures a year and paying other people to help them out with the production and everything. And I'm not trying, you know, even if I get to a level where I'm making money and doing this full time, like I said, obviously I'd like to have a little bit better production quality, and I would like my own speaking skills to improve. But still, I never want to be about the image. I want to be about the subject matter. And hopefully I attract people who are looking for the subject matter and not just for somebody they think is cute or has a certain personality they like or whatever. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying to be popular. I'm not trying to run a popularity contest. You know, that terms of popular. Obviously, I want people to like my videos, but like I said, I want them to like it for the subject matter. I don't want them to like it because I'm just, you know, I'm suddenly PewDiePie or what's his face? I don't know. I don't follow the so-called influencer crowd so much on YouTube. But like Simon Whistler and some of these other guys that run all these channels, these little top 10s things, and yeah, I mean, I could do a top 10, you know, things to save the planet today, or, you know, top 50 things you're doing wrong that are hurting the planet or whatever, and, you know, maybe I'd do 1 or 2 of them here and there along the way. But at the same time, you know, it's like I don't want to fall into that trap of being too clickbaity, you know. Just, I guess I'll leave it there. I don't know what else to say, but just hopefully people kind of understand where I'm coming from. Hopefully I kind of attract the right audience who's interested in the subject matter. I don't mind debating positions within reason. I mean, I don't have the free time to sit there and go back and forth with people all day. I don't always have time to check the comments every day. I try to go down there and you know, go through the unresponded ones every once in a while and you know, respond to people. Hopefully I get more views, more subscribers, and more comments. But, you know, just understand, I'm a guy with a day job doing this in his spare bedroom on minimal equipment. I'm not somebody who does this as a full-time job. You know, I don't want it to devolve into, you know, some of the things I've seen happen on Twitter or Facebook or something, where it just, you know, turns into this big running argument, and just hopefully keep it about the subject and not the person. You know what I mean? Don't need ad hominem attacks. Don't need people calling each other stupid. An idea can be stupid. I don't really like the idea of people being called stupid. Smart people can have some pretty stupid ideas, but you know, focus on the ideas. Don't want things getting personal and getting out of hand. Well, you know, I'll say sometimes I probably do offend people who have certain ideas, Sometimes I think it's kind of necessary to kind of wake people up, snap people out of it. Say, yes, I am attacking your position. This is why. But still trying to make it focused on the idea or the position, not the person. And hopefully I come across that way. At any rate, see you on the next one. Well, I hope you found that video informative. Hopefully it made you think, and please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't done that already, and check out the video that should be appearing somewhere around me here, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks.